Welcome back to Inside the Playbook. I hope you enjoyed the last few episodes. We're sitting down today with Robert Rowe, otherwise known as Sarge, because you don't respond by Robert, do you?
I don't. I don't.
Absolutely. Well, Sarge, we're going to start off with some fun questions for people to kind of get to know you a little bit more and, get to know a bit more about you. So, firstly, tomato sauce, in or out of the fridge?
Look, I tend to keep my sauces in the fridge.
Yeah.
But I don't do tomato sauce.
Yeah.
It's homemade chili sauce.
Sounds pretty good, right?
I grow my chilies. I make my chili sauce.
We'll sort out an arrangement at the end. I can get some chili sauce.
All right. If you're man enough.
No. I'll be terrible at it. Summer or winter?
Summer.
Yep. Easy. Cats or dogs?
Neither.
Sleep in or an arvo nap?
Oh, both.
Both?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love both.
Very good. And final one, I think you might find this a bit tricky, but favourite motorsport track that you've ever raced on?
Oh, Mugello.
Mugello?
Oh, yeah. Mugello is fantastic. The atmosphere is amazing. The Italians are mad, and it's got a couple of corners, Arrabbiata, around the back, which is super quick. You've got to be incredibly committed, and the corners that lead up to it, and then on the exit of it, are really tricky.
Yeah.
Having said that, arriving for my first race meeting in Europe and turning up at Spa was amazing. The atmosphere again at Spa. That was a big race meeting. It was just before the F1 Grand Prix, so the track was all prepped and was all amazing. It was just spectacular. And going to Spa, I will always remember like going to Bathurst for the first time.
Yeah.
And I still remember driving into Bathurst, into the town, and looking up and seeing Mount Panorama on the side of the hill in the big white letters.
Yeah.
And just go, oh, I'm here, I'm going to be racing up there. Wow. You know, and Spa was like that. So, but Mugello was fantastic. Sorry?
No, I was going to say, you talk about Spa and Bathurst there, and those first initial feelings when you look at the mountain.
Yeah.
Or for Spa, you kind of come through the forest and...
You walk... I stayed in the village, in a little hotel in the village, and you just walk downhill for 1 kilometre.
Yeah.
And you walk into an access road at La Source, which is the really sharp corner at the end of the very short starting straight.
Yeah.
And so as you walk down the hill, you've got the trees along the access road, and you sort of walk in, and then sort of in the distance you can sort of see some stuff, but it just opens in front of you and you just go, wow. And it just all opens up, and the circuit's in this big bowl and the forest is all around. And you look in the distance and it's like a long way in the distance. Is that the circuit? All the way up there, 7 kilometres long. It's incredible. It's insane. But it's amazing. It's just that whole thing. You know, the first time at these big places. You know, and I will never forget driving into Bathurst that first time, and I'll never forget walking down the road into Spa and just seeing it just open up in front of me. It's just incredible, amazing. Yeah,
it's an incredible feeling, isn't it? And I think you can't really put it into words unless you've been there and experienced it. You can tell someone about it.
Well, the thing with Bathurst, you don't know how steep Bathurst is from TV. You have to go and you go, wow, it's really steep. And it's like that with anything, with any sport, any endeavour. You have to be there in the mix of it and get all of those other inputs that come with it, to really get the feel and the sensation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Sarge, I'd love to, I guess, get to know a little bit more about your background and things like that. Where did you grow up and what did that look like for you?
I grew up in a fishing village in Victoria on the coast, and it was fantastic. It was an idyllic upbringing for a kid. Played footy, played cricket, went to school, rode my bike, went to the beach, used to go spear fishing in summer, catch my fish, bring fish home and feed the family and stuff. So that was great. That was it. That was life. Just being a kid, playing a lot of sport, hanging out with my mates. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
What was your favourite sport growing up?
I played cricket and Aussie rules.
Yeah, right.
And I love both the games. Still do. Yeah.
If there was a preference for one, which one would you go for?
Oh.
Because you've kind of got summer and winter both covered there, right?
Oh. You can't pick between the two.
Yeah.
You know, the skill and athleticism and endurance of AFL, and the skill and the nuance of cricket. You know, one of the things I love about cricket is the ebb and the flow of the game, and you can be playing and you get lulled into a false sense of security, and you sort of think, oh yeah, you know, things are ticking over, and next thing you know, all of a sudden the balance of play has shifted, and the opposition, they've got the momentum, and you've got to claw back the momentum, and it doesn't happen immediately. In footy, you know, if you win the tap from the bounce and bang, get a clearance, you can kick a goal straight away and the momentum shifts. But in cricket, it can take you a session to shift the momentum of the game, and I love that. Yeah. And it's an incredible mind game. But also just when you see batsmen just playing beautiful shots or a great catch or whatever, you know, it's great skill. So I love both the games.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there you grew up in a fishing village. Because obviously fishing and motorsport, they're two different things, right? When did, I guess, motorsport start to come into the picture for you, or you start to grow a bit more fond to it?
Good question. I was always interested in cars, but more classic cars.
Yeah.
And my dad had a mate who was mad keen motor racer. So a couple of times I can vaguely remember as a really little fella just seeing a race car. My dad, he passed young, so they're very faint, very early memories. But I think that just must have been a seed that was sown, and then it was just left dormant for years.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was probably 30 or more before I went, okay, I want to go car racing.
Yeah. I
want to get into motorsport.
Yeah, right.
And I can't even remember how it happened. I can't remember. I really can't remember. I found my way to Formula Ford very quickly, and I was like, that's what I want to do. That's just the thing. I just knew that was the right thing to do for me.
Yeah.
Found a car. Took me a while to find a car that I would fit in because I'm not built like a jockey.
Yeah.
Jockeys and motor race drivers are
head in head.
Little fellas.
Yeah.
And the cars are built for smaller people. So it took me a while to find a car that I could actually fit into. And yeah, I just bought a car and okay, what do I do now? So yeah, it was interesting. I just don't know where that that motivation, that spark came from at the time. It just, one day I just decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Let's go and do it.
When you bought that first Formula Ford car, do you remember what that feeling was? Was it like, what am I doing? Was it excitement? Do you remember that time?
Look, I was excited. I was in the army. I was living in barracks.
Yeah.
So I had no garage. I had nothing. I had no tools. Didn't have a trailer. I didn't have anything. The car that I bought didn't have an engine.
Right.
And I arranged to get it delivered, and the car turned up at the army barracks where I was posted, and got plonked out there. And the orderly room sergeant came to see me and said, "Sir, some guys just dropped off a race car for you. What's that?" I went, "Oh, yeah. I was expecting that. Yeah. And she's like, what are you going to do with that?" I went, "I don't know. I don't know. I got no idea." The orderly room sergeant and I went out there and looked at it and was like, okay. All right. Oh, well, it's lunchtime. Go to lunch. Worry about it after lunch. So I was lucky. I found a garage to rent. Made a couple of phone calls. Found an engine. Bought this engine. Got it for a good price. Turns out it was actually a really good motor.
Yeah, right.
And then had fun trying to work out how to put it in this car. And I should add that the car, when I bought it, was in pieces pretty well. And the guys threw it together enough to put it on the trailer to send it to me. So there was a lot of learning.
Yeah.
There was a lot of learning going on. It was fun. But I've still got that car.
Yeah, right.
That's the Formula Ford that I still race.
Yeah. And when you got the Formula Ford, you mentioned it was in pieces there. Did you have, I guess, any understanding of how to put that car
I had no idea. I had no freaking idea of what I was doing. It was crazy. Yeah. Absolutely no idea. Hilarious.
How'd you learn then?
You just, by making mistakes,
Yeah.
by just having a go. I wasn't in the situation. I wasn't a kid whose dad took him go-karting, and then whose dad took him motor racing, and had a dad to teach him, or had someone else doing it. It was just me on army pay, and back in those days, army pay was really, really bad.
Yeah,
it wasn't good. So I couldn't afford to just give the car to someone and say, "Oh, put it together, fix it, make it right." But that's part of the journey. It's part of the fun. It's one of the things I really love about the sport is all that learning, and the learning has never stopped. The learning never stops. You're always finding something new. There's always something new breaking that hasn't broken before. And how did that happen? How do I fix that? Where do I find that part from?
Yeah.
And we've just been going through that with the Dallara, the Formula 3 car. Bits breaking, and what is that? Where did they source that from? How do we find that? Sending emails to Spain, to people in Spain, and doing internet searches and all that sort of stuff. It's hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've mentioned there, I know we've spoken about this before, but your time in the army, I think that's quite a significant part of you growing up. I'd love to understand a bit more about, from your side, you joined the army straight out of school?
Straight out of school.
Could you tell us a bit more about what that experience was like? And how that went?
Yeah. So I did my HSC.
Mm.
I wanted to go to Officer Cadet School, which was then down at Portsea, on Port Phillip Heads. So Portsea was across from where I lived.
Right.
So as the crow flies, it was 3 kilometres. Of course, you have to drive all the way around Port Phillip Bay to get there.
Yeah.
So I knew Portsea well, and there was they had Command and Staff College in my hometown at the old fort. So I was sort of aware of all of that quite well. So I worked pretty hard in my HSC. I worked really hard in my HSC to get the marks that I needed to get to Officer Cadet School. And went through the process of the application and the testing and all that sort of thing, and rocked up. And I was just a country kid, you know. I was the youngest in my class.
Right.
So I only barely made the minimum age to be accepted.
Right.
And I was just a young kid, you know. I was very, very inexperienced. And most of the guys there had either had years at university or had jobs, or they might have been already in the army as a soldier.
Yeah.
And they might have, you know, some of the guys had done 10 years as soldiers before they went there. So they've all got life experience and what have you. And there's just me, just like a rabbit in the headlights. It was crazy. And it was just the most incredible culture shock.
Yeah.
It was so so tough. It was just 12 months of just getting your ass kicked every day, just every day, just work, get your bum kicked. It was a really tough experience.
Yeah.
And you know, getting my commission and doing the march out parade and getting out of there was pretty cool. It was a pretty good experience. Yeah.
I was going to say, I guess this is more of a curious question. Are there any lessons that you learned in the army when you were there that you still apply to everyday life now?
So much of what is in me comes from that time and those years in the army.
Yeah.
Because I went there straight out of school. I did 20 years. And you have a lot of experiences, good and bad.
Yeah.
You go through a lot of stuff in that time. So I think that that's imprinted a lot on my DNA. A lot, that so much of who I am comes from that. Yeah. I'm a very, very different person now to who I was then.
Right.
Very, very different. But the foundation work, you know, was done there, and I worked with some really amazing people.
Yeah.
That taught me, and that I learnt a lot about people and about dealing with situations, dealing with people, and about myself. Yeah.
And you like you said, you're in the army for 20 years, and I think the one thing that's been consistent every time that we've spoken is you're always curious and wanting to know more, and also pushing yourself boundary-wise.
Yep.
What, I guess, sparked the change for you to go from the army? I've done my time here, and I'd like to explore other avenues. Do you remember that time in your life?
Whilst I was still in the army and still enjoying it, still growing, still doing really good jobs, I got a bit of a thing that I'd like to go into business. I just thought, that's like to do business.
Yeah.
But it was just parked to the side. And I was doing really good jobs in the army.
Yeah.
It was big boys' toys, just really good stuff.
Yeah.
And two things happened. One was I knew that my run of doing these really good jobs was coming to an end, and I would, at some stage of the game, I'm going to go to Canberra and be flying a desk or do something like that. And I was like, I'm not sure I really want to do that.
Yeah.
But the significant thing that happened was, I suppose, personal growth and a bit of a shift in me, and me going to the next stage in my journey. And I'll liken it to the old situation of, soldier, go and paint those rocks white. Yes, sir. And one day I was told by a commanding officer or someone, this is what we're going to do. And my response was, why? What for? And for me, that was, oh no, that's not what you're supposed to do when you're in the army.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, sir. That's what we're doing. Okay. And that was a trigger for me that there's a bit of a shift happening within me. And so I was like, okay, it's time for me to get ready to move on.
Yeah.
And I took a bit of time letting myself do that.
Yeah.
To get used to the change. And so I was quite well prepared mentally for separation from the army. And no, it's not true. I won't say I was well prepared.
Yeah.
I was as well prepared as I could be.
Right.
It was still a huge shift.
Yeah.
And I went from an organisation that basically provided everything for you and did everything for you, and there was incredible structure all around it. And decided I'd go and start my own business from scratch. And there was just me, like getting my first race car. There was just me going, okay, how do I do this?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, I found myself signing a commercial lease, committing myself to 5 years of paying rent and an exorbitant, stupid, insane amount of rent with nothing, no cash flow behind it to back it up. Go, okay, let's go. So yeah, it was interesting times. It was very challenging, but again, you just, okay, let's go and do it.
Yeah.
And I suppose the difference between now and then is when I started the business, I didn't know that you could fail. There was none of that concept in my mind whatsoever. Whereas now I know the risks.
Yeah.
And when you're mentioning it and I think back to it, I go, oh man, wow. Anyway.
I was going to say that period in your life, because like you said, the army has like great structure around it, and there's a lot of things that are happening for you. You then sign your first rent, so you're paying for your rent, or you're forcing yourself into it. Are there periods there where you go, I'm so far outside my comfort zone, I don't know what to do? Or do you just try and go back on what you know and try and find your way out of it?
So the space that I that I rented for my business on corner building,
Yeah.
in Sydney CBD, and so we had a meeting room on the corner.
Yeah.
And it was the prime office, got all the light and got some views across the park and what have you. And so many days, so many times I would find myself in that meeting room looking out the window just going, what am I doing? How am I going to pay the bills? Just crazy. My very first client was a really smart guy, very wise, and he would every once in a while he'd walk past me and he'd just keep going. It's all right, just keep going. It's okay. So that first year was pretty tough, but I had a target that I wanted to hit, or I needed to hit, after 12 months, and I got there. And I think if I didn't have that target, it would have been difficult for me to get there. But what was interesting was that I didn't get there linearly. It wasn't sort of every month my revenue increased. I went for 6, 7, 8 months with barely any growth in revenue whatsoever. And then we got a little bit of momentum going. And then in those last few months when it really got desperate, things just started to unfold, and we got some business, and I was able to keep paying the bills and keep soldiering on.
Yeah. And how, from your personal experience, how important is it, like you said, you've got those eight months there where you're ticking along, but you're not seeing that progress just yet. How important is it just to keep pushing and knowing that if you keep going,
you've just got to, and it doesn't matter what your endeavour is. It doesn't matter if it's sport or business, study, whatever. Cleaning up the backyard that you've let go for years and you've never done any gardening. Okay, I've just got to keep going. I've got to keep turning up every day. Just keep turning up. That's the most important thing. I think the thing that I found, I suppose the biggest challenge for me was as a kid, I wasn't taught that you could ask for help. I was taught that no one was going to help you. So I felt that I had to do it all on my own. And I did. And it made the journey really, really hard. But it's also incredibly rewarding, because when you eventually give yourself permission to congratulate yourself, it's like, wow, you really did do this on your own. And I'm probably not very good at giving myself a pat on the back, but it's, my business, I got that up and going, and I've kept it going and survived COVID and all those things. And it's all my own work.
Yeah.
And walking into Spa that day and jumping into a Formula 3 race car to race at Spa and to go through Eau Rouge, probably the most iconic corner on any circuit in the world, go through there in a Formula 3 car and to get to the point where, okay, I'm doing this flat, I've got my foot buried to the floor, and to be able to say, hey, I did that. You know, I did that. It's a really, yeah, it's just a fantastic feeling to know that you have done that you've made this commitment, you've made the sacrifice. But it just comes from perseverance and persistence, and sacrifice, risk. And it's like the Columbus just saying there's something out there.
Yeah.
We're just hoisting the sails. We're going to sail over the horizon. We don't know what's there, but we're just going to go.
Yeah.
And every morning the sun comes up and there's just ocean. There's no land, but we just keep going. We just keep going. You just keep going, and you've got to. You've just got to have that attitude of every morning, every day, I'm just turning up, just going to turn up and just keep going. Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that's very clear in your journey. It's like persistence, also courage as well, like willing to take a risk and put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, but knowing that you're going to learn a lot from it. And I think it kind of comes back to the point of buying that Formula Ford car, sitting dormant in the garage, so to speak. You bring that back out and you start your motor racing journey. Do you remember your very first racing meet and what that was like?
I'll tell you what I remember from my first race meeting.
Yeah.
First thing is, what the fuck do I do now that I'm here? Absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
And the speed that the guys who raced went past. Yeah, incredible. But there was this snotty-nosed kid from Queanbeyan in that race by the name of Mark Webber. And he beat the field by one lap, and I think I was a lap behind the field. So yeah, that was my first race meeting.
Was that a big shock to the system when that happened, or
just the speed differentials? Because you got a race car, it's a fast car, so you should be able to jump in it and go fast. And it's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's not like jumping in your road car and driving in the street and giving a bit of a squirt and going, ooh, so I went quick there. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different.
I think it's such an interesting point where you go, so different to a road car. And when you're out in the circuit, you're trying to watch people coming behind you, trying not impede on their lap. You're trying to find flow in the car as well.
Yep.
And at your very first race meeting, probably didn't feel anything but flow.
No.
In a way.
Flow's really interesting. That whole flow state thing. Because I've actually felt that playing cricket, believe it or not.
Yeah, right.
And if you know anything about cricket or you hang around cricket, guys might talk about, make a comment, he's seeing the ball like a watermelon. It's like the ball's not tiny, it's huge, and it just can't miss it. And I've had days where you just not paying attention to what you're doing. You're just there, you're in the moment, and you play these strokes. And after your innings, you're like, what just happened? It's like, wow, I played some audacious shots, played some beautiful strokes, but there's no effort.
Yeah.
To get to that stage in the race car is really hard because there's just so many inputs around you. So so many sensations, so much going on. And what I've found is that it's really easy to put pressure on yourself to go faster, to go harder. And every time you get a little bit of success, you push yourself to get a bit more. Every time you find a 1/10 of a second, you're looking for the next 1/10 of a second. Always push, push, push. But it becomes counterproductive. Because the harder you push, the more you force the car, the more likely you are to make a mistake or take the car beyond its limits. And what I learnt to do was, rather than psych myself up too much, like a boxer, like a fighter, was to just try and slow myself down and calm myself down a bit, and to not get overexcited. You've got to get your arousal level up. You've got to lift yourself, because as soon as the lights go out, it's insane. It's just so full on insane and crazy. There's just all the noise and cars everywhere. And if someone has a spin or someone stalls on the starting grid, if you're a few rows back, by the time you get there, you're doing 100 kilometres an hour or whatever, and you come together with a stationary object, it creates a huge mess. And it's really easy for something to happen. If guy over there stalls and this gets a bad start, this guy pulls over in front of you and you pull over in front of him and what have you. So it's quite insane. But at the same time, you can't go doing stupid things, because your race will be over straight away. Or you just make mistakes and just go slower and slower. So that it's really hard to get there. I've found I find it, because I have such high expectations of myself. I want to do really well, and you get sucked into that trap of every time you make a bit of improvement, it just gets, you start chasing the next one. And it's tough. With any sport, any endeavour, anything, unless you have some knowledge, some inside knowledge, if you know someone or anything like that, it's really, really hard to understand. So we know about Aussie rules or rugby league because we get brought up with that. But if you get involved in a sport or hear about a sport that's maybe not quite as popular, and you don't know what goes on in there and what's involved behind the scenes, and equestrian has just popped into my mind. If we look at an equestrian event on TV, we go, oh, someone's riding a horse, and you don't understand what goes behind getting to the point where you're actually competing riding the horse, and how dangerous it is, and how much work goes into it and preparation. So yeah, no one understands. I don't think, unless you really delve into it. And one of the classics, absolute classic, is doing a Bradbury. Stephen Bradbury wasn't some fly-by-night guy who was an ordinary skater who just got lucky. He spent 20 years of his life to get to the Olympic Games. I mean, anybody who gets to the Olympic Games is freaking awesome. He spent 20 years. He nearly died in his training, in his preparations to get there. And when he got there, he had a strategy. He knew the only way this is going to work for me, because of all of his stuff, is going to be like this. And that's what happened, you know.
Yeah.
But what we saw on the outside was everybody crashing out and the guy way down the back. You know, it's like, no, he wasn't way down the back. He was just, it was just that smidge off the pace. But 20 years of his life had gone into that moment. You know, I think, he's an amazing guy. It's an amazing achievement. But that's what it is with all sports. Yeah, and for motor racing, most people think it's just driving around in circles, which it is. Yes, technically, yes, it is. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot behind it.
Yeah, and you talk about behind the scenes bit. Thanks to the black curtain, there is a race car somewhere out the back.
There is a race car behind the curtain. Yes,
and you do a lot of work behind the scenes. Like you said, you work on your own car and you do all that. I want to show you a photo, and I want to just get your thoughts and opinions of what it feels like to be driving one of your cars.
Look, insane. So that's my Formula 3 car, my Dallara, 2008 Dallara. So I've been racing Formula Ford for a long time, and I don't know where, but one day I was just like, Formula 3, wouldn't that be cool? You know, and I was really happy racing Formula Ford, and I had no ambitions beyond just tootling around in the Formula Ford. And one day I just got this thing, I'm going to go racing Formula 3. I started sort of looking around, and I met a guy who sadly has since passed, but he was involved in Formula 3, and he was really encouraging, and he encouraged me to have a go. And the bottom line, one day I said, look, can I run one of those cars by myself from my shed? He went, yes, you can. I said, yeah, you can do it. Okay, fine. And so, you know, I went out and found a car and bought it home and went, what do I do now? But when I took it on the circuit and I finally got the feel of the car, when I got to the point where the tyres got some temperature and the tyres started working and the aero started working, it was like, oh yeah, I get this. And I just fell in love with motorsport all over again and in a much bigger way.
Yeah.
It's just, the Formula 3 cars are just beautiful to drive. They're just incredibly beautiful to drive, you know. Yeah.
And I guess for any viewers that don't know, I guess you've got your Formula Ford car and your Formula 3 car.
Yep.
Correct me if I'm wrong. With the Formula 3 car, you need to go faster to like generate more downforce and all those types of things. So you have to learn like a whole new set.
Very different.
Skills. Yeah.
It's very different. The Formula Ford, so from a mechanical point of view, Formula Ford, Formula 3, Formula 1, they're all really similar.
Yeah.
Their suspension, the way they're set up. So with a Formula Ford car, they're a brilliant thing because you learn everything you need to know about motor cars, basically.
Yeah.
The wheel alignment, toe in, your caster, your camber, shock absorbers, sway bar settings, ride height, rake, all these things and how the car behaves and so forth.
Yeah.
But they're on a treaded tyre, and that's your wet and your dry tyre.
Yeah.
And the cars move around a bit, so you know you can go through a corner and you'll be a bit like that, and that's okay. You know, sometimes that's how you have to go to get them to work.
Yeah.
Whereas with a Formula 3 car, you've got all those dynamics, and you've got the aero, and you're on slick tyres, and you don't want it to get sideways at all. You're going slow there.
Yeah.
but you need to get the heat into the tyres to get the tyres to work properly.
Mm.
And then you reach a point where you get this transition from the mechanical grip being dominant to the aerodynamic grip starting to influence.
Yeah.
Where is that? Where is that point? How do you know where that is? You know, like, and that can be quite challenging.
Yeah.
Particularly, in those big fast corners.
Mm.
It's really challenging, but it's amazing. And I'm thinking back to my time at Spa.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of really big, long, fast corners. And the engineer just saying to me, trust the car, trust the car, trust the car. And it's like, no, if I go through that corner at that speed, I'm going to die.
Mm.
You know, like simples, you know. He said,
Yeah.
no, trust the car. And you just go out there and it's like, okay, trust the car. Yeah. Okay, that worked. All right, I'll try that again next lap.
Yeah.
Very, very different.
Mm.
Bags are fun.
Yeah.
Bags are fun.
What's for anyone that doesn't know, so driving on a slick tyre, and you mentioned there you got to wait for that tyre to warm up to get a bit more grip. When it's not warm, what is it like driving on?
Woo! It's like walking on ice.
Yeah.
And if it's cold,
Mm-hmm.
if the ambient air temperature in the track is cold and you go out on slicks, you barely touch the accelerator, and you've just got to be so gentle getting heat into the tyres and build it up really slowly, because if you give it too much of a blip, it'll turn you around straight away. They're just no grip.
And what's that, I guess, that changeover period? When does it start to go from like cold to warm and you start to feel a bit more confident?
It's all in the feel. It's all in the feel. If there's some ambient light, if there's sun,
yeah,
and the track has got a bit of temperature in it, then you'll get that temperature into the tyres faster. If it's cold, it's really hard work. And you've got to be very, very, very gentle. And that first period, take it easy. And as the heat comes in, then you can get more heat faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've raced in Australia, but once again, you challenge yourself and you go a little bit further. You go to Europe to go race. What was that feeling like at your very first race meeting? Because was it Formula 3 that you went over and raced in Europe? What was that feeling like going over to new country, new racetrack, new everything?
Just best thing ever. A little bit like day one in the army. Like, this is great. I'm terrified.
Yeah.
What do I do? Just incredibly rewarding. Incredibly rewarding. Just go, I'm here. Like, this is me, and I pay all my own bills, which makes it really hard.
Yeah.
But it's like nobody gifted it to me. So I earned it, and I sacrificed a lot. I mean, you can see around here, you can understand that I sacrifice a lot for my sport. And so just that sort of, there's that aspect of it. It's like, yeah, wow. good on you. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is really cool. But also, that that thing of jumping in the cockpit of the car, getting strapped in, and just going, yeah, okay, I got this. Yep, this is good.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. I belong here. That was a really cool feeling. Driving the car down pit lane at Spa and just going, yeah, I deserve this. I belong here.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome feeling, pretty awesome sensation.
What's the feeling like when you press the pit lane limiter and you then release the speed of the car as you head down the straight? What's that sensation like for you?
It's like, fuck, don't turn it around. Make sure you've got some heat in your tyres. You know, don't be an idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. Because like, how fast are you going in the speed? Like it's 40?
60.
60. So it's...
Yeah, it's 40 here, 60 in Europe.
So it's
where the big boys play.
Yeah. So it's obviously, it's nothing compared to what you're actually racing out on track. Like for people, like you're going 60, then you're about to head into one of the most famous sequence of corners. You release it, you're like, I got to build up.
It's
high heat.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, going, and it doesn't matter what circuit it's in. I raced it at Brno last year, and at the end of the main straight, nice long main straight, right-hand corner. My first time into that right-hander, I'm down into third gear to go through that corner.
Yeah.
And I come back in the end of the session, and the engineer's like, "Hello, what's going on?" And then what I built up to was at the end of the straight, you got your foot buried into the floor, and you turn into the corner, and then you have a lift and a dab of the brakes and change down the gear.
Right.
And then you get back on the gas, and you're going through there in fifth on full noise. And it's just like, the car won't do it, trust the car, and you've got to build up to that. But the sensation is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And it's that thing of challenging yourself, pushing yourself that little bit more, that little bit harder, just getting that little bit more out of it.
Yeah. I can see like every time that you talk about it and like you push yourself a little bit more, I can see like your eyes lighting up, because I'm sure for you that's nothing more of a more rewarding feeling than knowing that you've pushed that little bit extra. You've got that 10th or that those little bit extra things. But like you say, there's a fine line between pushing it and going, then you might be a little bit off the pace or something like that. And you're overseas learning all these new things. Do you find that there was more pressure on, did you feel more pressure on you when you were over in Europe doing these new things? Or did you come back to a set of simple things that you learned on the Australian circuits that you could take with you?
The principles are the same.
Yeah.
The principles are the same. And that's why when you're learning a sport, or in the army, when you're going through your training, you're going through your procedures, you learn the drill, and you drum it into yourself, and you learn those principles, and you just bed them down rock solid.
Yeah.
Because you learn those things when there's no pressure, and you gradually apply pressure, so that when things go crazy, it all becomes automatic.
Yeah.
The big problem for me is I don't get enough time to practice. You know, if you play footy, you can go and practice by yourself. You know, you can run and bounce the ball and kick it and handball it, and you it's not ideal, but you can still practice, and you get that hands-on ball. You know, like Lachie Neale talks about touching a ball 1,000 times a day or something like that, and that's building muscle memory and everything. But in motor racing, it's really hard. In Australia, it's impossible to get on a circuit for practice. It's impossible. It's hopeless. Much better in Europe, but you've got to have the money for it. You know, you've got to have the money to prepare the car and to move the car. You know, logistics can be challenging, because we think Europe's small and countries in Europe are small, but Europe as a whole is quite big. So it could be a 2,000 kilometre drive to get to a race meeting. Yeah. And if you're in a semi-trailer or you're towing a trailer in Europe, the speed limit's 80 kilometres an hour, not 110. So it takes that little bit longer. Yeah, right. But it's expensive, so it's really hard to practice. So you've got to have those. You've got to have those lessons. You've got to be really aware of them, so that when you're out there, you're making the most of every opportunity. Yeah, very important.
Absolutely. And you're racing in Formula 3. For people that don't know, what kind of, I guess, because it's not the Formula 3 that you see on TV. That's
right.
With the
it's all changed in the last few years.
What is the category that you race in?
There's FIA Formula 1.
Yep.
FIA Formula 2, FIA Formula 3.
Yeah.
And like that's the real serious stuff.
Yep.
Then there's Formula Regional.
Yep.
Then there's Formula 3. That's the simple way to explain it.
Yeah.
The cars, essentially what happens is the cars sort of feed down. So the professional teams will have them for the first 2 or 4 years.
Yep.
Race them at the higher level, and they'll sell them off to the next level team and sell them off to the next level team. So that car in there initially went into the Euro Open Formula Series, which was the Spanish F3 series, but become a European-wide. That's a Formula Regional competition. Yeah. So that car went into that, and then it's worked its way down to me running around here. Yeah. The cars are, in the last generation, the cars at FIA, F3 level have changed quite dramatically because they're very, very focused on making that transition, F2, F3, F1, as easy as possible. Yep. As manageable as possible, because the F1 cars have stepped up so much. So they're pretty powerful now, and they're pretty advanced cars. And I suppose the big step is coming from that lower category to there to make those next few steps much easier and much manageable. Yeah. But having said that, they're all the same. They're all, mechanically, aerodynamically, they all do the same things. Yeah, absolutely. But the F1 guys, insanely good, out of this world at what they do. The speeds that they race at, and just all the information they can take in, incredible. Absolutely incredible.
In the championship that you race in, I know we were speaking about it a bit earlier, but you've got some young kids that are trying to prove themselves and obviously get up into certain categories. I'm interested from your side of things. What is it like, I guess, racing against some of these kids? But then we also spoke about the mental side of it. You would obviously be better placed in some situations than some of these kids because they might not have the experience to go, I might need to wait one more corner, get them around the outside, things like that. Could you talk through that experience of what it's like in your shoes, racing against some young kids in Europe?
Look, I don't see myself as racing against young kids. It's just a competitor.
Yeah.
And I don't see myself as being any different to anybody else. Whether I'm at the gym or on the racetrack or whatever, we're all equal.
Yeah.
I suppose I've got some principles that I live my life by that bring me to that point personally, where I say, we're just all equal, and I give myself no quarter in this, in this thing. Having said that, these young kids generally have got dad's money, and they don't know what it's like to get hurt or whatever. They've got no fear, and they're on the top of the game. Their reflexes are sharp. And they've come through go-karts. They've done karting, done junior categories and so forth, and so they are on the top of their game. So they're pretty hard to compete with.
Yeah.
But you just you do your best. You do whatever you can, and if you can, you try and psych them out. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And it could just be the way that you position the car, or it just could be the way that you talk to them. And sometimes you can psych a guy out just by just walking up to him and standing over him, or something like that, or cracking a joke and making someone laugh and what have you. But once you get in the car, once you strap yourself in, you're very isolated, and it's all within you. So you just got to go out there and just take no quarter, give no quarter, just go and do it. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier when we were talking about Formula Ford and those first type of racing experiences, I guess a sensory overload. There's lots of things happening in and around
Lots
you.
of stuff going on.
Yeah. In Europe, like you say, you're trying to mentally get prepared for every single circuit, and even when you're in a race itself, battling the person ahead of you, trying to find that extra little bit, or like you said, psych them out. How do you go about that? Is there a set of principles you come back to in terms of trying to maximize yourself in those areas? Like, how do you kind of come back and go, I'm going to get this person the next corner, and slow yourself down for it?
Well, it's really about understanding the circuit and where the overtaking opportunities are from the first principle, and the challenge for me is every circuit I've gone to has been for the first time.
Yeah.
And I don't have a simulator. I haven't done any simulator work or anything like that. And so you sort of, okay, all right, here we go. There's the circuit map, and you have a play around with that and do as much work on that as you can. But you try and understand where the overtaking opportunities are, where different characteristics of the circuit are. But then it's also the difference between your car and your competitor's car. So even though we might have the same chassis, we might have a different engine, which has got different power and different torque range or curve, and then driving styles. So can you use your speed to get yourself in a position where you've got a corner and can get ahead of that guy, and then keep him behind you where he's strong, so that you can use your advantage where you're stronger.
Yeah.
And so it's observing that during the course of the race, and then being able to take the time whilst you're going out there at 1,000,000 miles an hour to think about, okay, where am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? Where do I position the car? Do I actually get on the brakes a little bit earlier for this corner to get a better exit? So at that point there, I can get up the inside of this guy under brakes.
Yeah.
And that's all going on dynamically as the race unfolds. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's time for another photo, Sarge. I'm going to show you this one, and you'll recognise the circuit.
Yeah.
It's your favourite circuit.
Favourite circuit, Mugello.
Could you chat through what this circuit is? And I guess for people that have seen Formula One, this circuit was on there in the 2020 season, the COVID-interrupted season. It was probably one of the better races, as well as very free-flowing. You see the cars at their, I guess, full characteristics. What's it like driving on a circuit where Formula One drivers are at?
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So that's a 2012 Dallara. So that's the next chassis evolution from mine, and that's also got the aerodynamic updates from the evolution beyond that.
Right.
And it's also got the next engine evolution as well. Right. So it's a pretty cool car. Yeah. It's a beautiful looking car. And this, you're in Italy, the home of motorsport, you know, and it was a big race meeting. Lots of cars, lots of categories, hot as stink, and some really fast flowing corners, really quite challenging corners. And everybody's just super passionate about the motorsport. Everybody's just super passionate. And yeah, it's just this. It's like going to the MCG for a grand final. You know, it's like that. It's just full on insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What you talk about lots of passionate people at Mugello, and I think it's like you say, it's in Italy. It really is the home of motorsport, home of the Scuderia, Ferrari, like all these huge things. And yeah, it's one of your favourite tracks there. It's a pretty those fast flowing corners that you talk about. What kind of speeds are you, I guess, going at for people to just kind of understand?
Good question. The cars are limited in their top speeds by power,
right,
and drag from the wings.
Yeah.
So, you know, you might. So in that car, I might have been, you know, top speed might be 240 at Spa.
Yeah. And
a lot of the other circuits, you're sort of in that 220 to 240 range. And it depends on the corner that. Depends on you know, the corner of entry to any form of a straight. You know, the slower you are coming out of that corner, the tighter the corner, the less speed. So you need more to build up to the speed. But you'll be going through corners anywhere between, you know, 150 Yeah, Magello turn 1. I think my first time through there, I was at 100 kilometres an hour, thinking I must be pretty close to it.
Yeah.
But I need to be going through there at 155, 156, 157 kilometres an hour. What are you doing at Spa? At Spa, you accelerate fairly quickly down to Eau Rouge. La Sources, you're sort of about 70 kilometres an hour. Now, if you tried to get through that corner in your road car at 70 kilometres an hour, you just go straight off into the gravel. There's no way you'd get round that corner. No. And you're over 200 kilometres an hour by the time you get to the bottom of the hill and go into Eau Rouge.
Yeah.
So yeah, the speeds are fairly quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time for our final photo, Sarge.
Yeah.
I think the setup for this is you talk about perseverance, challenging yourself, putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. But in motorsport, I think there's no better feeling than a podium.
A podium is great. A podium at Magello is fantastic. I came off the circuit and I was like, wasn't happy with my race. Could have done better. I made a couple of mistakes. I felt and pulled up at the transporter. And one of the crew just tapped me on the helmet and said, go to the podium. You came third. In very, very bad English, because he only spoke German, really not English. I'm like, no, I didn't. And I sort of thought I might have come fifth. There was a lot going on in that race.
Yeah.
He said, no, you came third. Go to the podium. You have to go straight away. They do the podiums pretty well straight after the category.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got out of the car, bolted over there. And you climb up this tower and you go up 2 stories. So up really high.
Yeah.
You're directly opposite the stands. There's people in the stands. And there's all these race cars all the way down below you, and there's people around and all this stuff. And I'm like, I came third, like this. Magello, how cool is this?
Yeah.
And again, Magello is just, it's just beautiful. It's just iconic, and it's just great to be there and what have you. It's like, I came third. Wow, okay, how cool is this? Of course, all the announcements, everything are in Italian. So they're going through all the stuff. I've just got to listen for my name. I hear my name. I've got no idea what else is being said. I just hear my name. Okay, so I go out. And it's like F1, you're at the back and you come out and then there's people and all this stuff, and it's really cool. And there's a guy already out there, and he's standing on the number 3 spot. Like, you third? He says, yeah. I said, I'm third. He said, you're second. So I came second. So I was like, came second. Yeah. So, and I that was a complete surprise when I walked out there. So I was like, yes. And I just thought, you know what? I may never get the chance to celebrate a podium ever, let alone at Magello. This could be as good as it gets.
Yeah.
I'm going to celebrate it. I just really enjoyed it. I took a moment to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's just the best feeling. Just awesome. Yeah, really, really cool.
It's I think it's a really incredible way of, I guess, summarising your journey. And I think thinking back in the conversation, you talk about moments where you're looking out of the boardroom at Sydney CBD going, how am I going to pay for these bills? How am I going to do this? And for you, what people probably don't know, but if you look at your website, it says Defiantly Living a Dream. And you very much lived that out at your favourite race circuit, standing up on the podium from third to second. You lived a lot of different experiences, which I think is incredibly special. What's the best piece of advice that I guess someone has either given to you or that you've learnt along the way that you'd be willing to share with people?
Gosh, life was full of lessons. Every day is a learning day. I think the most important thing, I think, I've just whacked the microphone again. The most important thing, I think, is know thyself. And people talk about, living authentically and that sort of thing. And so, for me, defiantly living the dream is my mantra. And where that came from is we get told how to live. We get told what's expected of us. Okay, so you're going to go to school, you're going to do your HSC, you're going to go to university, you're going to meet a girl, you're going to get married, you're going to have a house in the suburbs, blah, 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 blah. And these are these expectations that get put upon us. But we're all individuals, every single one of us. We're all completely individuals. So, but what we don't do is we never allow ourselves to stop and go, what do I want? What's going to bring me joy? What's the thing what makes me tick? What's my purpose? And everybody say, oh, you have a purpose. Okay, well, if you're saying you've got a purpose, your purpose has got to be, I'm going to save the planet. I'm going to do something really big and really amazing. That's not true. Purpose is what is the right thing for you in this moment, in this stage of life. Your purpose could be to be a really good mum or be a really good dad and to give that child the best upbringing they could have. Your purpose could be to have a beautiful garden so people walk past and see your garden and feel joy, So you need to learn what your purpose is, what's right for you at that stage of life.
Yeah. And
allow yourself to actually embrace that and to do that. So I think that's really, really super important, because people are going to, and as soon as you stick your head up, people are going to want to, take it off. So for me, when I went to Europe, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody that what I was doing, what I was planning. None of my race car mates. No one knew. And there were two things for that. One, I didn't want other people to say, well, how are you going to do this? And looking at it from all the negative points of view. And look, at all my friends would support me incredibly, and they do. It's great, but there's always that. But also you get ownership of it. You keep ownership of it. It's mine. Yeah, it's my little thing, and I think that's not a bad thing. But I think it's really important to know what it is that's going to bring you joy, and to be able to embrace that and go and do that, and not accept somebody else's narrative for you. Just because your friends are going to the pub and getting pissed, and you don't have to do that. You can do whatever it is you want to do, and just have the courage to go and give it a crack. Just go and do it. It's just yeah, I think that's, for me, that's the advice that I'd want to pass on to people. You know, and the other thing is just to be your best. It's not about how do I compare with that person. And motorsports, it's all on the lap times, and everything is comparison. It's all comparison. But it's like, be your best. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Don't compare what, you know, that guy's got more money than me, and this girl, she looks more beautiful than me, and blah blah. Well, it's all rubbish. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. That guy that's driving the flash car, you don't know how much debt he's got, you know, and if, yeah, it's all sort of, you know, something can be snatched away. So don't compare yourself to other people. Just be the best that you can be, so that you have no regrets. That's sort of.
They're really good words of wisdom, Sarge. Like, I think it's you've seen a lot and you've experienced a lot. So I think anyone that takes any bit of that advice would be so much better off.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarge.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Great to chat. Yeah, I enjoyed it.